Yeah, I've been thinking about the perfect camera recently. I think about the perfect camera all the time, actually. The perfect camera to me is a camera that lets you do any move you want and it doesn't get in your way. Like, so here's the thing about cameras. They look the best when they have a large sensor that lets you get a lot of dynamic range. Resolution doesn't matter too much. Just a large sensor, because a larger sensor means you can get nice shallow depth of field.
Yeah.
And then you want that dynamic range, and you want low light capabilities. Okay. So that's the sensor. That's what needs to happen kind of internally on the camera. Already having a large sensor rules out like 90% of cameras. And then having good dynamic range rules out like the remaining 5%. So it leaves like 5% of cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I can still handle that. 5% of cameras. There's a lot of cameras out there. I guess there's still a couple that fulfill that. But then the thing is, outside of that, all these cheap cameras have come up with these great things that like make using a camera easier. Like, for example, the cameras that Carmichael and Nick shoot with, to focus, they just touch the screen on what they want the camera to focus on. And Canon has built dual pixels that can tell when the light is focused. It doesn't need to search for it. It doesn't need to analyze the frame. It can just tell when like the light beams coming in, when the photons are coming in parallel, and it automatically instantly focuses. That's great. That's missing from any high-end cinema camera. You can't just touch the screen and tell it where to focus. You have to hire a whole person to pull focus, or you have to get really good at doing it yourself, which is hard to do when the camera weighs 30 pounds.
Well, I think it's also limited purpose, though, at the same time, because let's say you are shooting someone, you have them framed up, they're on screen. I guess you could tap on that if it's a touch screen. They'll be in focus, but now they move. Are we talking... You want to shoot with autofocus.
That Canon, yeah, I want to shoot with like autofocus. Like autofocus is not that hard of a problem anymore. They've solved it.
Yeah, but what if it messes up?
Well, you can always go to manual, but when was the last time you saw autofocus mess up on the Quarter Crew channel? Hey, I'll put it this way. How many times have you biffed the focus yourself?
I've lost count. Yeah, completely.
Autofocus definitely screws up less times than I screw up, at least on the new cameras. So imagine a camera that can focus automatically using those features. That'd be great.
It would be.
But then here's the big thing. Smooth movements, like smooth cinematic movements. That's been like the dream for decades. Like you have tripods and dollies and jibs and glide cams and like Devin Supertramp made a whole career off of smooth camera movements.
Yeah, he did, definitely.
I mean, he's more than just a smooth camera movement kind of guy, but he has that going for him. So the gimbals will come out.
It's not like there's the Devin Graham signature tripod. I mean, I would buy that. What's the tripod you use in all your videos?
For the most stable of frames.
Wow.
That camera's not moving at all.
Nothing's moving at all. Is this a photograph? No, silly, you're on YouTube.
No, this is just my tripod. It's a really good tripod. You can tell the bad tripods when the footage still wiggles once the camera's on the tripod. It's a bad tripod.
Yeah. Like the ones we're using right here. If I do this on the floor.
Can't tell if it's working.
No. The good tripods, signature.
Good tripods. These are signature.
Sam Gorski and Niko Beringer signature edition tripods.
Yeah, they have come with 3 legs.
Available on Amazon.
All right. Anyways, to finish my little spiel here, so gimbals have come out, and gimbals are great. They let you basically do all those fancy camera moves that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in the past, but now you just use a little fancy gimbal, and it keeps the camera steady. But you need a light camera to do that.
Yeah.
And the biggest issue is that you can't pull focus at the same time. You can't be holding on to the lens of the camera when the camera can't let you touch it because it's on a gimbal.
Yeah.
So here I am using the Red. The image quality is great, but I'm just thinking about all these cool things I could be doing if it was on a gimbal. And all I need to do is be able to pull focus with those lenses, like electronically. And I've tried, but it doesn't work because nobody's actually spent the time to make it really work. Because software through your phone and software over wireless usually sucks.
Yeah.
And if somebody just did that, if somebody could just take a Red and make it so you could pull focus wirelessly using electronic focus control and the lens motors, and I could mount that Red on a gimbal, I would be so happy, and they would probably put 100 people out of, not 100, they put thousands of people out of jobs in Hollywood, but it'll never happen because of that reason. I remember when they added autofocus, like crappy autofocus, but they added autofocus, and on the forums, there was an uproar about people saying how they're going to make ACs lose their jobs.
Are you for real?
Yeah, I'm for real.
You know, screw all those people.
Yeah.
You know what? The more jobs I can kill, the better. There we go. I said it.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I agree with you, but it sounds awful, but I agree with you. And
It
here's
sounds awful.
why.
Welcome to technology. Elon Musk, you're killing too many jobs. It's the same concept. I mean, on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all these automotive factories are going to shut down. It's like, no. They're just going to work for Tesla.
Well, here's my point of view on it. Like, For example, they're putting up computer kiosks at McDonald's. So you no longer order from a cashier. You just go up and you hit the screen and your burger pops out.
That's mercy.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you're killing a job, but let's be real with ourselves. Isn't that kind of a waste of human potential?
Yeah, it
like
is.
to just be there and be the equivalent of a touchscreen where somebody just gives you an input and you give them an output. Like, people are so much more than that. And yeah, I know people have to like relearn things and learn new skills, and there's a painful process to this. And I'm callously dismissing it right now in the podcast. But
no, there's nothing callous about this. This is really fascinating stuff, and stuff that people have to start grappling with as more and more jobs get replaced.
Well, we've seen that a little bit in America here. As manufacturing has disappeared, what's arose instead is design. Design has become the big thing for people to get jobs in. You know, design and art and creation. You are using your actual skills as a human being to problem solve and to create and to be creative, rather than being the man who pulls the lever to make sure that the machine thing punches the diode in the right spot.
I think that's fascinating because if you think about that from a design perspective, everyone complains about how they have to throw away their iPhone every year to buy another one.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously that's a generalization, but
every 2 years.
What I'm getting at
not
is
a generalization.
What I'm getting at is that if you think about that, like think about a product other than like a pair of good shoes that you've used for more than a year. You know, like what are they? Other than like clothing, which is like you know, dumb simple. You know, it doesn't break. You know, it doesn't crash. You know, your shoes don't get firmware updates. But like the fact that we have products coming out at such an unparalleled rate because of the fact that they effectively become obsolete so quickly, I think you're right in the sense that we have this demand for more designers and more, I guess, creators of products, because every Christmas, even this year, you see Portal from Facebook. Don't buy it. Obviously, you don't want to put a security cam from Facebook in your house. That's for sure.
For a second, I thought you were saying there's a new Portal game coming out.
No. There's a product called Portal. They started advertising it. And then I think something happened, and then I saw From Facebook slapped onto it after like 2 or 3 weeks of it being advertised. So like, whoa. Don't put that in your house. But you look at that, that's a new product. Like every single year, we're seeing anything from like new types of like Apple TVs to Chromecasts, the smart TVs, the things like in this accelerated rate of technology means that we need new designs every month.
Yeah. For
these same products that we already are using and having. And there's this need and demand and this like something's out there that's kind of feeding this.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating.
Yeah. And you know, it's not to say like at a factory you still need skilled craftsmen. Like that's a very important job too, but that's still creativity. That's still applying your depth of human knowledge and skill. It's just like when you are literally just part of an algorithm, just part of a function, and it's just like, oh, we couldn't make a robot that was dexterous enough, or that had enough dexterity. Is dexterous a word? Yeah, it is, right? We couldn't make a robot that had enough dexterity to pick up this box and twist it in the right direction, so we need a human being to do that. Like, that's where it's just, I would love to see those jobs eliminated, and I would love to see people be more than that.
Well, unfortunately, an AC is fitting that description.
Well, when they're just pulling
because
focus.
We need something dexterous enough to turn something like 45 degrees to 90 degrees.
And the funny thing is,
technically, that comes in the crosshairs based off your description.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, anybody who's like, I don't know, if you've actually worked with an AC, there's so much more than just somebody pulling focus. Like,
yeah, actually, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I know. Every I know, like anyone who's assisted me on camera has made the shots better.
Yeah,
in the sense that like if they become as instrumental to the shot as the composition itself, because they're directing focus, they're directing attention, therefore directing story, therefore they are.
Well, it's also like
they are my creative collaborator.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's also like help me actually take care of the camera, help me troubleshoot it. We gotta move it over here. We gotta set it up over here. Like, and that's the other silly thing about that. Everybody getting angry about autofocus killing jobs. It's like it's not gonna like in any like if all your AC is doing is pulling focus, you are not running a very efficient set.